Deep down, I don't believe this. But he told me something like, your faith in life no longer helps you.
You know, I can tell you one thing, these abilities are simply ordinary human abilities. There's nothing special about it. It's just that most people don't understand how to read another person's mind or fate because they haven't studied it. But there is one problem. People often confuse things. They think that if they start to sense a person, it means they can speak about some deep and sublime things. You see, sensitivity in and of itself does not mean that a person is capable of speaking the truth. For example, if a piano is very sensitive, it doesn't mean it's already playing Mozart. You see? That means that the sensitivity of the keys itself doesn't mean that you already possess the ability to heal people's fates, to see them, their lives. You see, what this person told you is complete nonsense.
He left something in my subconscious somewhere.
This is complete nonsense. You have a very good heart. On your father's side, there are believers, and they protect you in life, giving you the ability to comprehend life and truth through faith. You see, often people who feel something more than everyone else are themselves in a negative state, and they drag everyone else into this negativity. You see, this is a sign of a person's degradation. You shouldn't listen to such people at all because they are connected with spirits. Spirits act through them, so to speak. You see, extrasensory perception is most often not very good. Why? Because when a person, let's say, strives for God, they also begin to possess supernatural abilities over time. But these are not supernatural abilities. In fact, they are ordinary abilities. One simply develops them naturally because one studies what life is. When a person studies what life is, they feel people. It's natural. This comes naturally if people are spiritually developed. Then as they develop, they are given opportunities to see the world more deeply. It's like, for example, if a person studies surgery, they are entrusted with a scalpel. You see? And if a person has learned how to cut with a scalpel but doesn't study surgery, then as a result, they'll cut in such a way that it will be a disaster. That's what all these psychics and mediums do.
I myself have never actually gone to such people and naturally don't believe in it. But it so happened that apparently she found me herself.
It's not that you shouldn't believe in this. All of this exists. That means that people really do sense fate. The question is, how do they interpret it? For example, let's take fate. There is a lot of good in it, a lot of bad. If I only talk about the bad things, do I really see one's fate? It's just a deception. You see, if I tell a person only bad things, is that really a correct perception of the world? On the contrary, we should tell people things that inspire them, give them the opportunity to live, and not things that destroy them and their lives.
And can it be that people also say that there is no energy at all, from anywhere or nowhere?
And that's the other extreme. I will talk about this today. There are different levels of human development. I told you yesterday that there are atheists. They don't see subtle energy, they don't feel it. There are people who feel subtle energies. They are more developed. And there are people who can even see the soul. It all depends on a person's development, that's all. When a person is not developed, then I will talk about this again today. When people are not developed, they perceive the world as simply a combination of chemical elements, and that's all.
Thank you.
They don't see any energies. There is no love as a result either.
Thank you very much.
Let me ask one person from the front, one from a bit further back, so there's some equality.
Good evening. I have a question. For the last 10 years, I've had to change jobs every 3 years. And each time this happens, I keep analyzing and end up in this self-digging self-analysis.
You change jobs because it is extremely difficult for you to engage in the business sphere. You are a very sensitive person, and when you work, you start to worry a lot and get tired from mental tension. The reason is that this is simply how your psyche is structured. Many women have this particular trait that makes it very difficult for you to operate in the business sphere. The best option for you might be to work from home, not communicate with anyone, not interact, so that you can calmly do your work as you are able to.
But won't this lead to a person completely degrading by staying at home?
You don't have to stay at home. There are so many different good things you can do. Work should be at home and engage in some kind of social activity. You don't have to socialize only at work. You can socialize without work. These are people who live only for their work. They think that life will be boring without work. In reality, there's so much happening in the world besides work.
Thank you.
Next question.
You know, I want to, of course, say a huge thank you to you and for the fact that I ended up here. But I have this question. I've been married for 28 years. We live with my husband's grandmother. She is already a great grandmother to my children. She is already 95 years old. And so for probably 14 years since I gave birth to my younger daughter, and as soon as I gave birth to her, everything became significantly worse. In what way? She is very energetically strong. She hurt me a lot.
Grandmother?
Yes, I was raised to respect and all that. In general, I tried to restrain myself somehow. Then it all started getting so much worse. And even a year ago, it got to the point where I couldn't even eat.
Maybe you should live separately?
Well, she's 95 years old. And now the thing is, at this moment, I'm taking care of her since she's already bedridden. Naturally, I'm being good now, but I still understand that all of this is, how should I say, hypocritical, or something like that.
No, it's not hypocritical. It's just that as people age, life becomes harder and harder for them. Just imagine, when you're sick, you start acting capricious simply because you're sick. Now, with each passing year, fate weighs us down more and more, making it difficult to communicate, even just to think. Well, that means that over time, life simply turns into hell with age. And therefore, only holy people, those who pray constantly, radiate light as they age. And the rest of the people who just live their lives, they torment everyone around them.
The thing is, right now nothing really bothers me, but what concerns me is my state of mind in the sense that I can't do all of this sincerely. I do all of this, but
that means that forgiving and accepting a person is a matter of our spiritual strength. Yesterday we dedicated the entire lecture to this. If you lack inner strength and purity, you won't be able to do everything sincerely. It's simply impossible. Yesterday, for example, I overexerted myself slightly during the lecture, and in the morning it was hard for me to get out of bed. I thought maybe I should sleep a little longer. But I got up, started praying, and after half an hour I was filled with this spiritual strength in my relationship with God. I felt like a strong, healthy person. But you don't do this. How will you be strong and healthy? Tell me. I was just walking to the lecture and approached a huge poplar tree. I liked the tree. I felt that it was suitable for me, and I stood there near it for just 5, 6, 7 minutes and completely felt as if I was reborn. I just leaned against it and stood there. At that time, people attending my lectures started to gather around me, naturally because there's a park nearby. But either way, I felt healthy. You see, if people don't understand how to correctly relate to this world, how to recharge themselves, they will always feel that they are doing something insincerely. After all, sincerity is simply a person's strength, and that's all. Your inner ability, your strength.
But how do I learn? Does this mean I absolutely must love her and treat her sincerely? But I can't. It's not working out yet. I'm trying very hard. But is this necessary?
No, it's not about loving her. It's simply about treating her well with kindness. You see, you can truly love a holy person and open your heart only to them. If someone spits in your heart, can you really open it wide? If a person lives in malice, can you really open your heart wide? You need to choose the right distance, you see? But maintaining the right distance is also a science. If you don't have closeness with anyone, if you don't build a relationship with holiness, you don't understand where you need to be close, in which situations. Then how can you understand how to correctly relate to whom? So let's say you gave your whole heart to God during prayer, then you understand that the old lady simply needs ordinary care. You see, she doesn't need your heart, she doesn't need your sincerity, she isn't able to accept it. You see, I will now speak about this at the lecture for you and for everyone else. This is a very important topic. This is the topic of 3 types of relationships with different categories of people. We will talk about this now. That's exactly today's topic.
Thank you very much.
You simply chose the wrong style, the wrong way of relating. Next question.
Hello, Dr. Torsunov. I have a question. This year I lost my mother and I can't come to terms with it. I'm constantly tormented by guilt that I wasn't able to help her.
No, you're misinterpreting your feelings. What you feel is not remorse for being unable to help her, but rather that she needs your help right now. Because you don't understand that she hasn't gone anywhere, she's alive. And when a person leaves the physical body, the psyche remains just as alive. Just as one felt before, so one feels now. The soul never dies at all. And when a person passes away, they need help. This help usually comes from close relatives, from family members. This kind of help is possible. And that's why relatives feel this oppressive feeling, this sense of guilt. The reason for this feeling is that we don't work with our hearts when they need help. You simply don't know how to do this. And what is required of you now, you perceive as past failures. This is what is required of you right now, not in the past, because you don't understand that she is alive, she hasn't gone anywhere.
Can prayer help?
That is exactly what you need to help with. Understand that a person's main life takes place in the heart. Most people don't understand this and think that relationships can and should be built simply verbally, with the help of words, gestures, and so on. But this is all very superficial thinking. If your heart doesn't hold a good attitude, right now you have despair in your heart for your mother, and she feels this despair now. I see this connection, I feel your mother, I see her subtle energy structure. I can even roughly understand what her character is like. She is such a principled, attentive person. It was even wrong to speak in the past tense because I can feel her presence right now. And she simply needs help right now. But she doesn't need your despair. And the fact that you are in despair, what does that tell you? It tells you that you don't understand that these heart connections must always be cleansed. Why does a person say, "My soul feels light," for a reason? This means everything is pure there. Everything is cleansed, you see? But if there is some difficulty in the heart, then a person must work with their heart. They shouldn't think that they should be doing something else. You see? And so there is a specific object, your mother, for whom you need to work. How to work on this? Now we will look at this and study it. Thank you very much for your care. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I should give you something as a gift. It seems you've never practiced prayer in your life at all. You need to continue doing this. Play the voice of praying people and read the prayer together with them. Now think of your mom. Do you feel a bit better? No?
Yes, it feels lighter.
You see, how long have I been going on about this? The entire lecture yesterday. You need to start working with your heart. And if you do this every day for at least half an hour, joy about your mom will appear in your heart, and that's it. All issues will be resolved.
What about the prayers that are in the prayer book?
Prayers in the prayer book are good, but someone should read them aloud next to you. Everything is fine in your faith, in your tradition. Just understand that if you do it alone, you won't succeed.
Thank you very much.
You understand what I'm talking about, right? That a person draws energy from somewhere. We are not a closed system. When a person prays on their own, they must remember their teacher, their mentor. They must remember the holy place. If one doesn't remember anything and just mindlessly repeats something, then there's no point at all. You see, nothing changes from words alone. You need to engage your memory. The best way to activate memory is through the sound of those who pray. When we listen to them, our memory connects to this process. As a result, through memory, the heart is nourished with strength. And since your heart is connected to your mother, it immediately becomes easier for your mother as well. This is a simple methodology, a system. If you think I made this up, you are mistaken. This is an ancient system. It has been working for thousands of years, and so many people have already used it. Young children in the ancient Vedic culture were taught this way. The teacher recites the prayer, and they repeat after him exactly as he does. And they gradually connect through this power of the elder. And then when a person prays on their own, they first remember their elders before praying. You see, since we don't have this culture, I suggest this method to you. Merge with the sound. Everything is immediately included here. Everything is immediately clear. You see, you've become calmer. We are talking about the work of the heart. You're telling me that you wanted me to answer your question in that way. Did you do something wrong to your mother, or didn't you? This is a foolish idea altogether. When the time comes, all people pass away from this world, whether we do something or not. We can make mistakes there, you see? When a person is on the verge of death, mistakes are inevitable because understanding what to do at that moment is extremely difficult. I'm telling you this as a doctor. Therefore, mistakes are inevitable. But you must understand, if you have such a feeling of a burden in your heart, it means that she needs help right now. If everything was fine with her now, you wouldn't have such tension in your heart. I'm also speaking to you as a witness because I see this connection and I feel your mother. I started describing her to you and you agreed with this, that it is so. What was she, a teacher? Or what? An accountant? Well, I sense this kind of mental structure. A very specific, clear one. She loved to teach, didn't she?
Yes.
I can sense your mother. She needs help now. Do what I told you. If you don't do this, then there's no point in this conversation. No point at all. You just need to do it, and that's all. And do it with all your strength. Well, you lady, ask your question. I'm asking those who really need it, those who are grieving or going through a hard time. I choose such people specifically so that it would be very important. Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. Could you please tell me if you have any methods for treating autistic children? And how to live with such children and raise them?
You see, the reason for the birth of such a child is the lack of harmony with nature. When we live in the city, when there's a lot of asphalt around, when there are no trees, no water, no mountains, then nothing can provide energy to a person. When a woman is carrying a child, she doesn't have contact with nature. I just stood near a tall, large poplar tree for 7 minutes before the lecture. I felt such relief, as if I hadn't worked at all today. You see? That means that right now we don't understand these things. But this child simply suffers because he is severely tense. Right now he has no contact with the energy of the earth and water, with these two elements. Because of this, he cannot see this world, because this tension locks his consciousness. When a person is tense, their consciousness becomes confused, even in an adult, let alone in a child. You need to place this child on the ground more often. He should spend more time in the water, especially in natural water, but even in the bathtub is sufficient. You see, he needs to establish contact with these two elements. And you yourself need to establish this contact. You are also very tense, and this tension is transmitted from you. A child perceives the mental state of the mother and adopts it from the mother in the first years of life. But if we're talking about what I can do, there is such an option as well. To some extent, we can help. What I'm wearing right now helps me endure these great mental tensions when I'm surrounded by many people. When many people are listening to the lecture, everyone wants to understand. Mental tension occurs naturally. And I'm wearing these stones, they help me. We have a methodology that has already helped many children. That means that children relax as a result of wearing these stones. The stones can be ordered remotely. They will send you everything. We will work with you remotely for a whole year, monitoring how all of this works.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Our work will not replace yours if you don't spend time with him in contact with the earth and water. Such children also need movement. They need to move. Movement also relaxes. Without movement, there is no life. And accordingly also, to overcome one's fate, to have the strength to live with such a person, prayer is needed. You should also know that it's not your fault that he was born this way. Every person suffers from their past actions. He also has a past. He was an adult person not so long ago, making some mistakes. Now he was born as a small child with an illness that you must help cure. This is your service to God. The Lord wants this from you. People often think they're unlucky. They think, why do I have a child like this? You know, if you think like that, it's better not to live at all. Because the scriptures say that life consists of a series of events. And in this sequence of events, there are events that are not very important. There are two types of events. Unimportant events can be characterized by two words in a phone conversation. Hello? How are you doing? Okay. And I'm doing well too. Well, okay. When a person has everything going well, this is called the sleep of the soul. That means that the soul is not working, it is simply resting. And people want exactly this life, where the whole life would be just so nice, with no effort of the soul. But the other type of events, which we perceive as bad events, are the main ones in our life, because it is precisely these events that develop a person, that make a person into a human being. And this is exactly what the Lord did for you, because by nature you are a person who is very inclined to help people. What do you do for a living?
I'm a manager.
You care about people, constantly helping them. And God gave you such an opportunity to develop in this direction. To develop a person, to invest your strength in a person, and God will invest His strength in you. This is how you need to perceive this situation and understand that this is life. You see? Life means to labor with one's soul, to make efforts with one's soul. So why do I need all this, traveling around the world and giving these lectures? Why do I need this? When I was in Astana during the lecture, I knew what would happen next. I could feel it. During the lecture, I told a joke about how an alcoholic's kitten fell into alcohol and he kept squeezing it until the kitten died. I told them there in Astana, the same thing will most likely happen to me after this lecture. And that's exactly what happened there. They tortured me until the very end. They kept saying, Dr. Torsunov, one more question. They attacked me, circled around me. Well, why would I need this? What for? I could just sit at home peacefully. Because this is the meaning of human life. A person must give themselves to other people. This is the meaning of our life. And God has given you such a wonderful opportunity to become a real person. I wish you good luck. Work hard and this child will grow up to be a good person. You have the opportunity to help him develop. His condition is not that severe. It can be cured. Moreover, this bad period of his is coming to an end. In a year, he will start to relax. The hardest part is already behind you. Now let's talk to you, lady. You're going through a difficult period in your life right now. You need to hear something from me too. We can't hear you. You need to turn on the microphone.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm currently going through a difficult period, I suppose, and I feel it both emotionally and physically. Well, the situation is as follows. 17 years ago, I was in a relationship. I lived with a person for 7 years. My son is 17 years old. After we broke up, I managed to build a friendly relationship with him. And just recently I received an offer to head this person's business. And I agreed.
Here's your note.
Yes.
I know everything, the situation.
You know everything?
Yes, thank you.
Well, basically, I don't know what to do.
Thank you for this note. I read it in the car. I understood that I must answer your question because the person is doing everything right. The situation developed in such a way that the relationship was destroyed as a result of it being built incorrectly somehow. As far as I can see, you weren't educated in relationships. You behaved harshly, and he also behaved categorically. Well, basically, an unstoppable force met an immovable object. As a result, you broke up. But since you are both good people, you don't abandon each other, you maintain the relationship. And look, they went through the first 2 stages. That means that the first stage is a kind feeling toward the person. She forgave the person. She retained a kind feeling toward this person. As a result, they started being friends. That means that the husband and wife started being friends. They have a child together. They started being friends, communicating. And the man felt that he needed support from his wife. In fact, you never really broke up. You just can't admit it to yourself right now. And he decided to involve you in his business. You need to pray a little more. Just listen to the voice of a holy person a little bit, pray a little bit, and repentance will appear in his heart. Did you kick him out or did he leave? You left on your own, didn't you?
I didn't want to leave, but the situation turned out such that we ended up in different apartments. Well, that means that we broke up. We sold the apartment we were living in. And it turned out that...
Where do you think people break up? In their passport, in apartments, or where?
In the soul, of course.
They part ways in their hearts, right? Did you break up in your heart? Look into your heart. Did you part with him in your heart?
I didn't, but he probably did.
He did, of course.
I don't know.
He thinks so.
I have this feeling that I'm preventing him from thinking right now.
You just need to understand that no matter how you justify yourself, he experienced serious stress from the fact that you left him. And he is afraid now of this action of yours. But if you pray now, well, you're asking me, you pose the question, should I strive to restore the relationship or not strive to? This question indicates that you don't understand what life is. Life is not what you think it is. If you got divorced on paper, it doesn't mean you broke up. You see, God has not separated you all this time. He left you a chance. Therefore, when people are not separated, they cannot find anyone else for themselves. Until the heart is free, a person cannot find someone else for themselves. For this to happen, there must be sanctions from above. We cannot do this. You tried to do this. He tried. Nothing worked out. Why? Because it's not allowed. You are connected to this person. You must now pass your exam. And you won't be able to pass it if you just go talk to him now. Nothing will work out. Nothing will work out at all. You won't succeed, you see? For it to work out, you need to go through the third stage. The first stage has been passed. There is a calm attitude toward the person in the heart. The second stage has been completed. You started communicating with him. The third stage remains, and each of these stages is like an entire mountain. You think, how can I do this? This is impossible. This mountain can be crossed through prayer in 1 month. So if you pray for 50 minutes a day for a month, after a month, this mountain will be gone. You will feel relief in your heart. You will feel that you can approach him and start talking, and everything will work out between you.
Thank you very much.
You have no other choice. If you're asking me what to do, there are no options here. You can keep thinking about it for a few more years until one of you finally betrays the other. But since you are, I repeat again, honest people, that's why you didn't part ways, because your conscience didn't allow you to. Honest people listen to their conscience.
Well, can they really keep suffering like this until the end of their lives?
Why suffer? You need to get back together with him. He will accept you if you overcome this bad karma of yours. Once you erase this mistake of yours from your heart, that's it. You will live together with him. Why suffer? You need to pass your exams and be happy.
Thank you.
Why suffer? You ask me a strange question, as if I'm suggesting that you suffer. You are suffering now, but I'm offering you to be happy.
Thank you.
Burn this entire problem in your heart and that's it. Don't suffer. Why suffer? You keep the memory of the past carefully in your heart. This person treated you kindly for many years. Do you cherish this memory? Do you?
I'm trying to.
Life often separates us from those who bring us happiness. This is life. This is our life. You see, you shouldn't be afraid to live. Things happen. It happens this way and it happens that way. A person should not be afraid to live. If they are afraid to live, it means they will not be happy. You're saying that I'm suggesting you suffer your whole life. But I'm suggesting that you live your whole life. And life means the work of the soul. Suffering is laziness of the soul. Right now you are suffering. I suggest that you sit down early in the morning and live with your soul, with your heart. This is life. This is life, you see? But all this whining, oh, I feel so bad, oh, I feel so bad. This is not life. Life is when things get bad, you sit down in the morning and make it good, and that's it. Everything is fine. That's life. Walking around and whining is not life. This problem that you just mentioned can be resolved in a month. In a month, you'll be together. If I were in such a situation, that's exactly what I would do. I would have understood that it's only a month, or maybe even more, or less. I would pray more, not just 50 minutes. In this situation, I would pray for 2 to 3 hours a day, and in 2 weeks, I would already reconnect with my husband. Well, I'm talking about you. I would get to know my husband all over again. The problem is that we haven't learned how to live. Living in this body, we haven't learned how to live because no one teaches us about life. Okay? So now we will study what we didn't study in childhood. And all of this should have been studied earlier instead of learning all this physics, mathematics, biology. I spent so much time studying in schools just like you. I don't remember any of this at all. All these paramecia, all these eras, various Mesolithic periods and such. I don't remember any of this because I don't need it. This is all useless information, you see. We learn a lot of nonsense. But why do we need to know this? Well, if this information is needed, then it can be studied. So why all of this? You need to know how to live because it's very practical. Now I will explain some very practical information to you. There are 3 layers of human consciousness. There is a layer of consciousness called the degradation layer. I told you about this yesterday, didn't I? The degradation layer means that people are very strongly fixated on themselves. They essentially live for themselves. They have no authorities in life. They perceive the world as a combination of nerve impulses or chemical elements. They have no love, no depth, no conscience. Such people live in an irritated state, trying to force everyone to take care of them. A life of degradation. If you see that someone near you is irritated, not interested in how to work on themselves, has bad habits and doesn't want to change anything in their life, such a person is simply undeveloped. This is not a bad person, they're just not developed. And since one is not developed, one also doesn't know how to build relationships with people correctly. Just now, a woman asked me how to behave with my grandmother, who constantly torments me while I take care of her. How should I behave? You need to understand that it's not necessary to behave outwardly. You can simply fulfill your duties toward the person, but you need to conduct yourself in relation to them in your heart, because their heart is infected, it is in a sick state. You need to wish them happiness in your heart and pray for them, while externally simply fulfilling your duties. And in this case, you don't need to build too close a relationship with them. You build them thinking, well, this is a close person after all. How can I not build them? So build this close relationship simply in your heart, and your conscience won't torment you that you're not doing anything for them. You can do things for them in your heart, but don't build a close relationship verbally, because that will always only bring you pain. You see, when a person is in a degraded mood, it doesn't necessarily mean they are degraded their whole life. They can enter into this consciousness. During this time, you shouldn't build a close relationship with them. Why? Because they will simply cause you pain. Fulfill your duties toward them, wish them happiness, and work with your heart for them. If you think you owe something to this person, that they are a close person to you, work with your heart, and then they will begin to change. A friend of mine recently told me that she worked on her relationship with her husband for a very long time. He didn't want to change. And then she started living separately from him, and he suddenly started to change. It was high time to do that. How long should one suffer, and for what? You see, the problem is that we don't have to suffer at all. You see, people suffer because they don't know how to act correctly. The Vedas say that a person doesn't necessarily have to live in the same apartment with a loved one. You can live separately, just don't cheat. You shouldn't think that you abandoned your close person. You can live separately. Think about God, do your own things, and discipline your close one. Because when separation occurs, the person sobers up and begins to understand that they have lost something. When you live separately, you can explain to the person what you need in order to live together. You see, your close person started causing trouble. Fine, let's live separately for a while. What's the problem? And if you say, he won't let me, he'll kill me, well, that means you've created a completely wrong relationship. He doesn't have the right to kill you, does he? You can seek the protection of the state, go to the police and say, I cannot live with this person, he is threatening me. And that's it. And you will live separately. You will be protected, the authorities will protect you. I'm talking about extreme cases here because I've heard about many such extreme situations. Understand that if you're doing everything honestly, you don't want to cheat, you don't want to abandon the person, but simply want to help them. Then what is the problem here? People often think that if they start living separately, it's a betrayal. Betrayal is living next to someone who torments you. That is betrayal. Humiliating yourself before someone means that they will become more and more brazen. And this goes on endlessly. What is a degraded relationship? These are relationships in which there is betrayal, violence, and deception. If such things start happening in a relationship, you need to distance yourself. You don't necessarily have to move out. You can distance yourself while living in the same apartment. Well, that means that you don't have an intimate, close relationship, but you simply care for the person. And most importantly, pray for your close person every day, because some people live like this for years and nothing changes for them. They simply take care of their loved ones, but at the same time, they do nothing for them within their heart. A barrier has arisen between you and your hearts. It's not that he's so much at fault. Maybe you are also living a life of degradation, because degradation doesn't just mean drinking vodka. Depression and resentment are also degradation. There is male degradation and there is female degradation. You just need to understand that such close relationships don't lead to anything good. You need to live a little more distantly and work with your heart on the relationship to make it so that the person begins to make amends, so that he begins to feel his conscience. Because when you overcome your fate, you first develop a feeling of calmness toward him. You understand that this person was given to you by fate as a punishment for something. Then you begin to feel how to choose the right distance in the relationship and how to live correctly alongside them so that you don't suffer at all. And then you begin to see how his conscience starts to torment him, and he begins to change. I know many examples of how a woman, praying like this, made it so that her husband completely stopped drinking. Everything happened step by step in exactly the same way for everyone everywhere. First, she simply forgave him, then she established the right relationship. And as she continued praying, he began to make amends in his heart. Therefore, you see, you simply need to learn this. If you don't know how to do this, this is not life. Living just on the surface is not life. Today, the mother of one of my acquaintances called me and said, "How is he doing? I would like everything to work out for him. Do you promise me that everything will be fine with him?" I said, "I promise." But in reality, she should have just prayed a little bit and everything would have been fine. Because all our problems are actually just inside us. This person just goes on living. There are no problems, but the mother worries. Why is she worried? Because that's how fate works. It causes anxiety in the heart. If we cleansed our hearts, then we would not only help ourselves, but we would also help our children. Look, there are two options. One option is the mother cries, grieves, and sorrows. What does this mean? This means that she doesn't have enough strength of heart. She cannot accept her fate. She cries because she cannot live. She is simply suffering. Every person will inevitably face trials in life. Now the second option. Optimistic. The law works unceasingly. You know, when your heart is at peace about your sick child, it means the child will recover quickly. If you start to worry, it means you need more strength. But anxiety merely means that there is a slightly larger volume of work required by your fate. You need to learn to work with your heart, my dears. If we don't do this, we can't help anyone, not even ourselves. And this is what suffering in life is. This is suffering. And not that you defeated your fate and got your husband back. This is not suffering, this is happiness. The second layer of life is life in passion. Yesterday we talked about how people in degradation broke down. That means that they don't have the correct understanding of life. They went the wrong way. They grieve or are in depression or drink or behave aggressively, getting angry at everyone around them. Life in passion is life in the future when a person lives simply for acquisitions. One needs money, an apartment, a family, children, success, and so on. A person thinks that this is what life is. A person doesn't understand that life flows in the heart. Acquisitions are all gifts. A person expects gifts. And this life, where everything is gifts, when it's only gifts, this is not life either. A person thinks that they only need gifts. And as soon as something doesn't go their way, they immediately start to suffer, agonize, thinking, why? What's the matter? Why did things get so much worse for me? What's going on? Things should only get better for me all the time. Life is specifically designed for us to learn and grow through difficulties. And a person living in passion believes that they must always be successful. What kind of movies do such people watch? They watch movies about people where someone is walking with a log, something doesn't go their way, so they put the log down, grab a big gun, shoot everyone, and then continue walking with the log again. You see, they show us such films so that we believe that this is how we should live. You just need to achieve your goals in life, some external things. And if something doesn't work out, you still have to insist on having your way. And they show movies about these successful people. But in real life, it doesn't work that way. A person experiences ups and downs. You see, as the song goes, we soar into the sky together with the birds. We fall together with the stars, fall down, love, believe, feel sad, make mistakes. You see, that means that life flows like this, not just success alone. No one experiences only success, but people living in passion are fixated solely on success. They cannot imagine that something else might happen. When a person takes out a mortgage, they don't understand that something can happen. They don't understand that every person has a certain period planned in life when they won't be able to work. They won't necessarily be working their entire life. There are times when a person cannot work, but the mortgage has to be paid every day. The person planned that they wouldn't get sick, wouldn't have any failures in life, and that the country's economy would always be stable. This is life in passion, you see. Only hope for success. You've painted some picture in your head, a picture of success, and you think that's how everything will be. This is a complete illusion. But the biggest problem with this life in passion is that for people who live this way, the heart doesn't turn on, therefore there are no close relationships. People can talk about children, about family, about work, about football, about politics. But they cannot talk about life, about relationships, about how we love each other. A conflict breaks out immediately. And they say this to each other: you don't love me and you don't respect me. You see, that means that it's all just like despair, like a cry of the soul. Why? Because the heart is not set up for relationships. The problem is only in this, you see. The heart must be set up for a relationship. A relationship means you take the energy of love from above and give it to your loved ones. But you need to learn how to receive the energy of love from above. But we don't know how. We only use the energy of love. We say, I live with him. There's no love between us whatsoever. So people, what do you think? Do you think they will spontaneously give you love your whole life? The Lord gave you this infatuation at first, that's it. Then there will be no more love. You have to create it in your relationship. You need to selflessly do something for the person. You need to help them, forgive and care. This is what love means. Love doesn't mean to enjoy the person. You say, I don't love him anymore. I don't like him. Yes, of course, your close person doesn't appeal to you, because for a person to appeal to you, you need to feel something pure and bright in them. And to feel something pure and bright in them, you need to do something good for them. And only when people are in pure goodness, when people work on themselves, develop as individuals, then in this case they are capable of truly overcoming bad fate and building relationships correctly, and are capable of loving. All right. If you and your loved one suddenly had a quarrel by chance, we often quarrel for no reason. Instead of words, just look into each other's eyes. Often this kind look is much better than many different words. You see? But to look into someone's eyes with kindness is only possible if you have something inside you. If a person is exhausted from work, comes home, quarrels with a loved one, their heart is empty, they have no strength to communicate, to look, then how can they convey this love? You see? That means that there are no chances to be happy in relationships. People often say, Dr. Torsunov, I don't want to live with this person because we don't have a relationship. I don't want to live in this apartment because it's dirty. Pretty reasonable, isn't it? You don't have a relationship because you didn't develop this relationship. You don't know how to develop it. A relationship is the work of the soul. If today it's hard for you to be with a person, pray, and it will become easier tomorrow. This is what a relationship is. And then forgive, ask for forgiveness. Try to love this person. And if you don't do this, then there won't be any love. You say, but I don't have the strength to do this. With this person, it doesn't work out for me. If only it was someone else, then it would work out. This is simply your lack of education. All people are the same. Everyone is absolutely the same. Relationships with everyone gradually become poisoned, turning into nothing, with every person. There is one American psychologist who studied the family, and she concluded that in family relationships first comes infatuation. Everyone knows about this. She drew the letter V. At first, the relationship goes upward. We like each other. Then the relationship stabilizes, and then it goes downward. That means that she was describing the movement of the energy of love. And somewhere around 7, 8, 9, 10 years of living together, when it's at the bottom, everything is bad. Why is everything bad? Because the spontaneous energy of love has run out. It simply ran out, that's all. And at this time, you need to work with your heart to maintain the relationship. And when people start working with their hearts, then suddenly the relationship starts going up. This means that they pass their test. But unfortunately, according to statistics, only 20% pass, while 80% get divorced. Why? And that's because they sincerely think that I was unlucky. So if my breath stinks, I must be unlucky. Probably need to change my teeth. Changed all the teeth, it stinks again. Well, no luck again. Well, let's change the teeth again. And you can keep changing teeth endlessly like this. And your mouth stinks because you need to brush your teeth, my dears. You know all this. In the same way, you need to cleanse your relationship because it stinks even more when you don't cleanse it. Because time impacts relationships. How does it work? Let's say time has stressed out the wife. I came home and didn't know about it. I said something to her. She responded rudely, let's say. I got offended and a conflict started. Why did this conflict happen? Because time affected her. She was having a hard time, but I didn't understand that. I started talking to her. As one song goes, time often separates us from those who bring us happiness. This is life. This is our life, you see? But if a person doesn't understand this, then there is no life at all. No, it's impossible with this person. Well, this is not my person because, first of all, I don't have feelings for them. I don't feel happiness. They touch me, but there's no happiness. This is all simply because you are not building the relationship. Once you start to care for the person, you will feel their purity. At first, you will feel that it's good to communicate with them, and then this purity in the relationship will become deeper and deeper, and even physical contact will feel good. Everything will work out. The whole problem is that there's no strength for this, and strength comes from there. You see, this is the systemic error in the thinking of modern society. After all, people didn't live like that before. They prayed before meals, they prayed before work. For example, to have a wedding, they would first pray. You see, people always first filled themselves with this power and then did something. And that's how they lived their entire lives. But we don't fill ourselves with anything, we just live and that's it. And we think, I don't have any energy. Did you charge yourself? For example, my mobile phone sometimes tells me beep, 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 it has no power. I bang it against the table. What's wrong with you? You have to work. And it says, I have no power. No, we plug it into the outlet, right? We don't hit it against the table, we just plug it into the outlet and it charges. But we don't recharge ourselves, my dears. We turn on the television, it doesn't charge us, on the contrary, it befouls us. They show all kinds of nonsense on that television. When we fall in love, we want to enjoy life. Both of us. And when something doesn't bring me pleasure, it becomes very painful for me in the relationship. This is how family life and relationships are built. They are all woven from pain. Now look, what happens next is interesting. That's how it really happens in life. Look, I make efforts to restore the relationship, but not enough. Because I think that if I'm already doing something good for you, then you should forgive me right away. But that's not how it works. You need to keep making more and more efforts, you see? But if you put in just a little effort and they don't forgive you and you yourself get offended, then you might as well get divorced. That's how your whole life goes by. You need to make a little more effort, just a little more. I know when my wife is upset with me, I know how many times I need to say forgive me for her to be happy. When I say forgive me for the first time, she looks at me and says, "You know I can't forgive you right away." And she walks away. It's unfair, I think, in my heart. Well, you give lectures, go and fill yourself with strength. She drained all my energy. I say, "Please forgive me." She says, "No." And she took all my strength away just like that. I have no strength left. I start praying. After some time, we're still at odds. Each one is busy with their own thing. I approach her and say, "Please forgive me." She looks at me and says, "I'll forgive you tomorrow." That means she's already started to forgive me. She's already started to forgive me, that's it. Although, this whole time I don't consider myself guilty at all. I just do it this way because that's how it needs to be done. You must ask for forgiveness without fail. I do it out of a sense of duty. She thinks that I understood that I was wrong. She has this kind of idea inside her. But I think, well, okay, at least the person believes it, and that's fine. And so I ask for forgiveness several times. Gradually she forgives me. And then she says, "Thank you for being in my life." She hugs me and says, "You're such a good person. I probably wouldn't be able to live with anyone else. The way you do it, no one would do. I probably wouldn't be able to live with anyone else because no one, I suppose, is capable of asking for forgiveness so many times." And at that moment, when she says this, I begin to understand why it happened, what triggered in her, what I did wrong in relation to her. Only then, when the relationship has been restored, when I have given as much energy as needed for the relationship, when energy starts coming back from her, only then do I begin to understand why it happened that way. You see? And this applies to all people. A woman is a UFO for a man, an unidentified flying object. A man is also a UFO for a woman. You see? And the most terrible thing is that what we want from each other is a terrible austerity for our loved one. So a woman says, "Well, it's so simple to speak tenderly. It's so simple. You come home from work, sit down, have a chat. It's so simple. I always do it that way." Because you were born a woman, that's why it's elementary for you. Building a close relationship through conversation is very difficult for a man. It's very difficult for him, and he gets very tired in this relationship. This happens often. You tell your husband, "Come on, let's talk. I really need to." And he says, "Maybe tomorrow. I'm tired today." Raise your hand if you've had this situation in your life. You see? This happens all the time. Why? Because an emotional conversation is very difficult for a man. It's very difficult for him to do all of this. Or let's say a man starts lecturing a woman. The most interesting thing is that women are delicate by nature. When a man starts talking about how to do things right, usually a normal, reasonable woman will listen. But I simply tried to understand in meditation, in prayer, what was happening in a woman's brain at that moment. I saw an interesting picture that, as it turns out, when a man starts lecturing her, at that moment, the first thing that happens to a woman is she feels that it's very, very hard for her to listen to this. It's just very hard, but it's awkward to leave. The next stage, she feels her brain getting tense, and then she starts to feel that she can't comprehend anything he's saying at all. Am I right? Then the next stage, she thinks, if he doesn't shut up right now, I don't know what I'll do to him. Right? And then she speaks to him emotionally, already emotionally. She says, well, just tell me, what do you want? I'm already tired of listening to you. Right? Well, something like that. And how does he respond? He says, you fool, I've been telling you for half an hour what I want. Don't you understand? She says, just tell me in 2 words. Isn't that right, ladies? You see how different we are? That means that men can't stand emotions and women can't stand lecturing. But a man can philosophize with another man for hours. My wife sometimes eavesdrops on my conversations with managers that I have. And sometimes she can't take it anymore, comes into my room and says, you've already talked to him about this 3 times. It's the 3rd time already. How long can you keep talking about this? You need to rest. You see? The psyche is completely different. It works differently. And so in this situation, under these conditions, we must be happy, right? Otherwise, it's impossible to live without happiness. And how can we be happy in this situation? There is such a film. The film is called Stalker. The essence of the film was that there was a certain zone, a part of space on Earth. This is called a zone. Zone means that this is a space in which you cannot simply do anything without care. You need to pray first before taking any step. You need to walk very carefully at first. You need to be in the right state of mind, very humbly. You need to act very carefully. And so when you come home, this is that space, that zone, where you need to be very careful with your wife, with your children, so that, God forbid, you don't hurt anyone there. You need to be very careful there, you see? Because in the space of personal relationships, everything is very difficult, because there everyone expects love from you, expects a close relationship, and so on. The expectations are very high expectations. And when this person makes a mistake, it brings very great pain afterwards. It hurts a lot. That's how it is. This is how the energy of love works. Sometimes people expect the same from me, and all at once. When 50 people are waiting for you to talk with them, and you talked with 5 people while the other 45 didn't get to communicate, as a result, they get offended and think, Dr. Torsunov doesn't want to talk to me. He probably doesn't love me. Raise your hand if you thought that about me yesterday. Honestly. This is how love works. You see, you thought that way, but I didn't have such thoughts. You see, I didn't have such thoughts. I'm just not capable of responding to everyone at once. I don't have such abilities. If I had several heads, it would probably be possible. But otherwise, no. So today we are talking about 3 different fundamental types of relationships. If a person doesn't choose the right distance or wants something more from these relationships, they experience terrible suffering. If a close person is in degradation, we wish them happiness in our heart, perform our duties, care for them, and do not try to build a close relationship with them until they come out of this degradation, until their conscience awakens. Otherwise, it will be painful. Next, if people live in passion, that means that they have many things to do. They are focused on something external. They don't work on their hearts, don't pray, don't work on themselves, but simply work, rest, work, rest. If this is what their whole life consists of, then we can raise children together. We can discuss life plans together. We can relax together, for example. We can go on vacation together. But if we want depth from this life, from this kind of life in passion, it won't work out. You will immediately hit a wall and start thinking, why am I even living with this person? We don't even know each other. The problem is not that the person is bad, but simply that you are not developed enough to know each other. Understand that a person's development means that the person truly works with their heart. One tries to study, understand, and comprehend deep things. Only people in pure goodness are capable of building very deep, close relationships. And not only in the family, but in general, people in pure goodness are capable of relating to people very deeply, capable of understanding them, forgiving them, accepting them, and so on. What does it mean for a person to be in pure goodness? This means that one takes from God and gives to people. Where does a person in passion take from? From people. And gives to whom? To people. Who does a person in degradation take from? From people. And gives to whom? To themselves. You see, that's the whole difference. That means that people in pure goodness don't expect anything from others. They receive from God through prayer and then give it away all day long. They expect nothing. People in passion expect things from each other, and therefore they suffer, because a person is not capable of giving back as much as you have done for them. No person, no child will be as grateful to you as much as you have done for them. No husband will be able to fully thank you for your care for the family. No wife will be able to fully understand how hard you worked for the money you earned. This is impossible. Don't try to get reciprocity. Who do people in passion believe in? People in degradation believe in themselves. People in passion believe in each other and in luck. They believe in their wife, in their husband, in their children. So let's say a woman gave birth to a child. This child becomes a substitute for God for her. She says that now she will live her whole life for her child. Why does she think this way? Because energy of happiness comes from the child. A man thinks, I will live my whole life for my wife because the energy of happiness comes from her. But he has never experienced true happiness. He hasn't seen real happiness. He doesn't know that from the altar comes billions of times more energy of happiness. And not just the energy of happiness, but one that overcomes one's fate and changes life. So understand this simple truth. If you have believed in the wrong thing and faith comes spontaneously on its own, people who have no faith in God, what do they believe in? In that which sustains life. For example, you have a good job, so you put your faith in your job. That means stress will come from there. The Lord then gives us stress through what we believed in. One thinks, I have the best child, an indigo child. They used to be called child prodigies. Now everyone has an indigo child. A person believes in their children. Why? Because purity comes from them. Spiritual qualities come from them. What is this for? So that we take care of our children. That's how God arranged it. But if a woman starts to believe in her child, what happens? The child begins to take pride in themselves because they start to feel like God. A woman, let's say, believes in her husband. She believes in her husband. This is a classic scenario that people tell me about. People say, Dr. Torsunov, we had a good family. I love my husband very much. As a result, he first started behaving rudely, saying that I wasn't worthy of him. Then he started to cheat. Then he started bringing women home right in front of me. And then he cruelly left me. And immediately the question arises, why did this happen? It's because you believed not in God, but in a man. You believed in him. A person instills pride in those they believe in. You see, whoever we believe in, that person becomes filled with pride. For example, some people believe in their elders. Why doesn't pride enter them? Because the elder has their own elder. The elder gives it away, they don't consider it their own merit. But if the elder has no elder above them, then they become proud if you believe in them. You see, this is called creating an idol for yourself. I have a whole seminar called Overcoming Stress. The cause of our stress lies in the fact that we don't believe in God, but it's impossible to live without faith. A person cannot help but believe, and a person wants to believe. They don't want to live an empty life. A child is born, that's it. There's someone to believe in, so I start believing in the child. Then the stress comes 14 years after the child's birth. Why? Because at this time the child begins, according to fate, to move away from the close relationship with the mother. And that's it. She doesn't know what to do. She lived for her children, but they act as if they don't notice her. They never really noticed her anyway. Your children were close to you because that's how nature arranged it. Children can only be close with their mother in childhood, and then their life changes, and they should be close with their spouses and so on. You see? Children will never stay too close for their entire life. And the mother suffers. She thinks, why don't my children write or call me? Why don't they want to build the same kind of relationship with me as before? They used to follow me around all the time and constantly needed me, and now they don't care. The problem is not that they don't need you now, but that you believed in them. And you should have believed in the one who always gives back in return. The Lord will always give back every second of life. But a child can only live like that for a certain period of time, and then you need to let them go. Let them fly in their own life, live their own fate. They won't be able to be very close in relationships their whole life. And the mother suffers, then she agonizes. When we lose faith, when a person loses faith, they can no longer live happily, they suffer. This state is called stress. They can't even sleep normally, constantly suffering. A person has no life because the source of happiness has ceased to exist. And a person's psyche cannot live without happiness. We need happiness, an influx of happiness every second. And because we chose the wrong source, that's why we suffer. There is no understanding, no knowledge. When I was walking here to the lecture, we arrived a bit early and stopped by the park, took a walk, and I saw a tree. I saw it suited me, so I stood near this tree. The maple tree was so huge, enormous. Maple trees grow like that here. And I felt strength coming from it. I stood near the tree and observed. I always love observing people because it gives me the opportunity to understand what life is. I was observing the people sitting on a bench nearby. I stood near the maple tree. And I started standing like this. And they were like, well, those who were more cultured just glanced at me casually, and those who were less cultured started talking about me among themselves. Why such a reaction? Because they didn't know what was happening. Why did I stand by the tree? They thought, he looks like a normal guy with a suitcase and bag, but he stood next to a tree. What for? It's unclear. Maybe he has some peculiarities, personality quirks. I stood by the tree because it's the best thing you can do in a park. 5 minutes next to a tree, and what you wanted to get in an hour, you get in 5 minutes. That's why I did it. But the people around don't understand. That's why they shy away. It's hard for people in pure goodness to live. Nobody understands them. People live a different life. They don't understand how to build a close relationship with nature. I remember once at the Black Sea I went swimming. I swam for a bit, then stood in the water and started praying and looking at the sun. I set myself up for the sun with my eyes closed like this. When the sun shines on you while you're in the water, this is the best thing for your health. There is such a strong exchange taking place. You set yourself up for the sun, everything goes into the water and gets cleansed. That means that you don't overheat and you don't get too cold. There is such an exchange taking place. I stood there like that. And there were many people around. It was a beach after all. I started to feel that everyone was looking at me. Everyone was watching what I was doing. Why? Because when a person is energetically charging themselves, it's very interesting to watch. What is this guy doing there? It's unclear. And different theories come up. There were kids swimming around. They were coming up with different theories. What is he doing? And so on. Well, that means that everyone pays attention. When a person is simply swimming, no one pays any attention. As soon as I started looking at the sun, everyone paid attention. Why do you think that is? Because the person's state is different. Their energy is different. That means that when a person begins to perform some deep practices, deep processes, it immediately attracts a lot of attention. People look at those who are praying. For example, I walk through the airport and often see Muslims reading namaz in the airport. Jews also pray, and everyone looks at them. Why? Because they connect with God. Energy starts to flow through them, and that's it. Boom. And they look. Some people are skeptical about this energy from God. Some laugh at it, while others, on the contrary, think, that's great. People are praying. You see, everyone has a different relationship with God. Each person has a different relationship with God. But know that if you don't seek this source in your life, then stress is inevitable. A person cannot live without faith. You will believe in each other, in your husband, in your wife, in your work, in your parents, in anyone. This always leads to suffering because a certain mechanism is triggered. Once in one city, there was such a situation that unfolded right before the eyes of all the lecture attendees. Both sincere young people listened to my lectures, and the young man stood up and said, "You know, Dr. Torsunov, I have this situation. We love each other very much. We have mutual love with the girl, very strong mutual love. I've never loved anyone like this in my life," he said. "I love her so much. She loves me just as much. But for some reason, she doesn't want to marry me. For some reason, she doesn't want to be with me. She says that she gets tired of me. I seem to torture her with my love. She says that even though she herself loves me." And then it turned out that the girl was sitting right next to him, and he was giving this report on her behalf. And then I said, "Well, sit down. Since she's right here, let me talk to her." He didn't let her, saying, "I'll say everything myself because I understand better what's going on." I said, "Well, why do you think she doesn't understand? She understands too." He let her speak. At first, she didn't say anything at all. I said, "Let's be honest. Come on, let's be honest. Has he worn you out?" She said, "Yes." "What do you think is the reason?" She said, "I don't know. He seems like a good person, a normal person, but he behaves in such a way that it becomes unbearable for me to be around him, unbearable." He sat there silent. I said, "How would you assess her words?" He said, "She's probably going through a bad period. It will all pass later." I said, "No, it won't pass later. She'll leave you, that's all." I said, "Will you leave him?" She said, "If this continues, I'll leave him. I won't be able to take it. It's already hard for me now." And you see, the biggest problem was that it was impossible to prove to him that the relationship was falling apart. He was stubborn as a mule, thinking everything was fine. You see? And it took me great effort to prove to him that he didn't believe in God, but in this girl. And that was the whole problem. When a person suffocates another person with their faith, believing not in God, but in the person, then the relationship begins to fall apart. It becomes unbearable. Now raise your hand who among you couldn't build a relationship with someone who fell so deeply in love. So deeply in love. You see, it's impossible, right? You understand what I'm talking about, don't you? Now let's look at another scenario. And who among you fell deeply in love, and as a result you couldn't reach that person? That means that the person left you. Here's the same situation again. And who among you fell in love very, very deeply with someone, and you stayed together? Raise your hand. Okay, I want to talk to these people now. You there, the young lady closer to me? Yes, you. Let's talk. Just answer a few questions for me so that we can figure some things out.
Good evening.
I have a few questions for you. Tell me, does your close one not torment you? Your close one doesn't torment you?
Sometimes.
He takes pride in himself next to you, right?
A little bit?
Huh?
A little bit.
A little bit. And do you feel proud of yourself when you're with him?
I feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, as if you're being humiliated, right?
Not quite.
But you feel that it's somehow difficult, right? He somehow behaves a bit arrogantly around you, right?
Yes.
He doesn't fully respect you, does he? Well, honestly,
Not that he doesn't respect me, but sometimes he just acts arrogantly.
what?
Arrogantly.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. I heard everything. Look, what she described, these are actually not overly pronounced signs. Because the more this vector of love is directed at a person, the more pronounced all these signs become. But if we're talking about relationships in general, know that this is always the case. The vector of love always goes in only one direction. I told you about this yesterday, didn't I? I said that it is directed in one direction only. And one person is humiliated, the one who receives love is humiliated. That means that the person receives love and loves. And the one who gives love, who is being loved, always takes pride in themselves. This is how this world works. There's nothing you can do about it. And moreover, in a family, if you observe yourself, you definitely have this vector. One person is slightly humiliated, the other person is slightly proud of themselves. This is normal. But if a person starts believing not in God but in another person, the family inevitably falls apart because no one can endure this force, this faith in you. And that's also why children throw tantrums around their mother. If you have, let's say, a capricious child growing up, it means you've started believing in your child, and as a result, the child grows up to be a monster. They will start throwing tantrums, getting angry, and tormenting you. Why? Because you believe in your child. If you start believing in your boss and hanging on their every word, they will begin to exploit you at work and torment you to such an extent that you will have to leave that job yourself. They will humiliate you in front of everyone, scold you, and so on. Do you understand what I'm talking about right now? Faith is a special state of a person. This is energy that cannot be processed by anyone but God. Only God is capable of enduring our faith. You need to learn to believe only in God. This process is very complex. You won't be able to believe in God right away. It takes time. You need to train yourself, you need to learn. But if a strong relationship with God begins, a relationship with God most easily begins through nature. When a person first begins to develop, they start to become closer to nature. They start going on hikes where there are rivers or mountains. A person begins to see life. A person's eyes open to life when they begin to get closer to nature. This means that one has broken free from this hustle and bustle, and one begins to live. Then the person begins to feel God in people. One starts listening to lectures, tries to understand, to gain some knowledge. That means that the person begins to feel the divine through people, and only then does the person begin to feel God through the temple. This is the sequence of developing a relationship with God. And if we're talking about love, then know that love is actually the labor of the soul. Close relationships, relationships at work, all these relationships are based on austerity. If a person understands how relationships are built in life, they are always ready to help other people, always ready to do something for people. At first, a person will feel uncomfortable because they won't be getting anything back. It's unusual to live like that. You give everything, then you look back, there's no result. Women often say, Dr. Torsunov, after your lectures, I started to help my husband, to care for him with all my strength, to try my best. He became impudent as a result, and he wants even more than before. And he says that an astrologer simply told him that according to his fate, this is how it's supposed to be, that people should take care of him like this. Very interesting philosophy. You exhausted yourself working selflessly, and it turns out this is just how it's supposed to be according to his fate. I often joke with my wife. She irons everything for me before my trip, I put it on, and I'm all clean and neat. I look at her and say, "See how clean and neat I am?" She says, "I see." She smiles. I say, "That's just how I am by nature." She laughs, understanding that it's a joke from the lecture. My dears, this is all normal. You care for your loved one and love begins. Love goes in one direction, but in love, in this care for a loved one, there are two sides. Simply caring for a person is not difficult. But true love has a different nature. It has a strict nature. I didn't misspeak, its nature is strict. If you love a person and care for them properly, without expecting anything in return, then during this care, your sense of self-worth grows. I'm going to talk about this seriously now. Listen to me, this is a very important topic. Let's say you prepared something for your husband. And when he eats, you want praise. This means that you set yourself up incorrectly. I will now explain to you how to set yourself up right so that there is a guarantee. While cooking, pray and think about God. Try to do this to satisfy the Lord. And when you receive some happiness in your relationship with God during the cooking, serve the food to the table with this happiness. Not with the happiness that my husband will thank me for the food, but with the happiness of my relationship with God during the preparation. This makes a great difference. It is the key question of a person's entire life. Just imagine some small difference in attitude. I am happy that God is pleased that I take care of my husband. Or my husband is happy that I take care of him. This difference is colossal. Let's say you cooked for your husband with prayer. The first thing that happens is that he is cleansed by this food, because when food is prepared with prayer, it very powerfully cleanses a man. A man cannot cleanse himself. First, he is busy with work, so he needs to be helped in this way. He doesn't even know himself that this food brings him good fortune. You prepared it with prayer and gave it to him. And watch yourself. Observe. If you expect appreciation, then you have the wrong mindset. And this kind of care for a close person will destroy your life. Later on, you'll even find it disgusting to do anything for him. You will suffer so much from this attitude. When a person does something for God and then gives it to their loved ones with love as well, this person is already fulfilled inside. Do you understand what it means to be fulfilled? Do you know when a girl starts to attract attention? Why does she get married? Do you know when girls get married? When they become fulfilled? Sometimes this happens simply by fate. God fills the girl with beauty himself, because she is destined to get married. He fills her with beauty, and suddenly everyone starts paying attention to her. Girls notice this. No one looked before. Then suddenly everyone started looking. Boom! You've noticed that, right? It's like a wave. One wants to meet you, then another. You're already choosing from among them, sorting through the men. Some girls come up to me and say, "Dr. Torsunov, I haven't met anyone in 5 years." Another one standing nearby says, "Dr. Torsunov, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to choose from the 3. Here are 3 photos. Maybe you can choose for me." Everyone has problems. Everyone's are different, though. So does a girl necessarily have to wait her whole life for this period when God will fill her with beauty so that everyone will look at her? Of course not. Because this energy of beauty comes simply from the right attitude toward life. If a girl starts giving her feminine energy to everyone, she loves everyone, cares for everyone, but draws strength from God in the process, then she becomes fulfilled not because such a period has come in her life, but because she knows how to live correctly. She became wise. And as a result, it's not difficult for her to get married, not difficult at all, absolutely. Then the question arises, why are most girls not married? And that's because they're living incorrectly. That's all. You need to fill yourself with God through prayer and then help other people. Remember Cinderella married the prince? She constantly took care of everyone. They scolded her, but she took care of everyone. But it's interesting to know if we're talking about this sense of self-worth of a person who thinks about God, does everything for God, and then gives everything to people. It turns out that in this state of consciousness, a person's sense of self-worth works differently. If, let's say, you're cooking for your husband, but you're actually thinking about God, are you giving to your husband? You don't depend on him in this case. You don't depend. It's interesting to know that a person who takes care of someone without thinking about God becomes dependent on that person. What kind of dependency is this? It's the kind of dependence where that person must thank me. And until they do, I will be offended by them. You see, this is dependency. Before that, everything was fine for you. You had no one to be offended by. You took care of your husband, did a good deed, fed your husband, and now you're offended all day long. The question immediately arises, what's the point of this care at all if life becomes so difficult afterwards? You see what I'm talking about? A person's sense of self-worth becomes shattered and broken if they care for their loved ones with the goal of receiving a reward. And why does everything happen this way? That's because people don't understand that they need to first fill themselves from above and then give it away. But they try to get filled up from their close ones. And therefore, this is where the whole mistake lies, you see? But that's not all. It turns out that a person who cares for their loved ones and holds resentment toward them cannot guide them, cannot say anything kind to them, because there is a secret grudge in the heart toward the close person, and the connection that should work happily, joyfully in the relationship becomes very tense. The person continues to take care, but there is no gratitude. They continue to care, but there is no gratitude. And this resentment accumulates, and the close relationship falls apart. Now look, one's sense of self-worth becomes greatly disturbed. A person feels humiliated while caring for their loved ones. Therefore they conclude, I won't care anymore. It's better this way, it's easier. Or does it formally, without love, simply because it's necessary? Now look, here's an interesting point. When a person thinks about God, does things with prayer for God, and then joyfully gives to their loved ones without wanting anything in return, without expecting anything. At this time, one's sense of self-worth rejoices because the person has freed themselves from this humiliation. One freed oneself from this shameful dependency, you see. We simply take care of our close ones. Why? Because that's how it's supposed to be. The Vedas say, all people who are close to us are our examiners. They test us in life, and through them we learn purity and selflessness. They will test us, they will torment us. Jesus Christ said that our close ones are our main tormentors. All close ones are tormentors, not distant ones, but close ones. So what happens next? Does this mean that life is over? No, life is only just beginning. Listen to what happens next. When you care for your close people, they have no choice but to love you. If you take care correctly, you receive from God, and you simply give to your loved one what has come from your relationship with God. In this case, let's say the close person becomes impudent. This is a typical classic scenario. One gets used to your care, one simply gets used to it. The usual classic normal scenario. In this case, are you humiliated? No, you weren't expecting anything. But since you acted selflessly, gratitude appears in their heart. Know that selflessness is an amazing energy that cannot be hidden or concealed anywhere. If a person does something for you conscientiously, honestly, gratitude will remain in your heart toward them, and gratitude is such a feeling that makes you listen. If you are grateful to someone and they tell you something, then you'll have to listen, 100% sure. I've often had situations in my life when I needed to say something. I needed to say something serious. And if the person speaking to me is someone I'm grateful to for something in life, someone who did me a good deed, I listen, even when it's painful to hear. But if someone who hasn't done anything for me tells me something, I will never listen to them. Why should I listen? What does this person think of themselves? You see what I'm talking about or not? So you see, the problem is that in this life, people are most often unable to discipline each other in close relationships. And that's because we haven't done anything selfless for each other. So why can't I tell a person the truth? And that's because I don't have the authority. I haven't done anything selfless for them. Everything I did came with expectations. That means that our relationship was simply selfish. Therefore, I cannot approach this person and kindly tell them the truth because my sense of self-worth doesn't allow it. But if you do something for God, listen to me, you do something for God and give it to your loved one. Let's say you men work with God in your heart, and you simply give your salary to your wife, not so that she would be pleased with you, but because that's what you should do. You simply understand that this is your responsibility, your care for your wife. You simply give without any desire to receive something in return, but in return, you receive as a result proper functioning of your self-worth, and then you can approach her kindly and say, "My dear, please, when you see that I'm tired, don't be so capricious." I agree that you can be capricious. This is normal. You're a woman, after all. But if you see that I'm tired, try not to throw tantrums so much, because I don't always have the strength to endure it. And then we start having difficulties in our relationship. And if I tell her this, she will hear me. Why? Because she is grateful. When a person sees that you expect nothing from them, you simply do good deeds for them. Expect nothing. You simply care and expect nothing. Gratitude makes one listen. This is true self-respect and true respect for a loved one. Because some people think that the true manifestation of self-respect means that I love myself. This is what modern psychology often teaches. Love yourself. What is egoism then? I am the sun. I am a big, bright sun. I remember doing autogenic training. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 12 years old, studying how to work on myself. I didn't understand it back then. Well, I just found a book, read it, and started practicing. I am a big, bright sun. I am the sun. I am so powerful. I shine for everyone. I radiate joy to everyone. I am joyful. I am joyful. I am the sun. I am a big, bright sun. I would repeat this out loud, sitting there, training myself. And my mom comes up to me and says, "Sunshine, help me wash the dishes." And I felt such indignation. I'm a big, bright sun, and here they're making me wash dishes. I had really gotten into character. I'm so big, I'm shining, I'm radiating light to everyone, and here I'm being asked to wash some dishes. What nonsense. I got very angry. And then I started analyzing and realized that the process was somehow wrong. Why? Because I'm convincing myself of something that doesn't exist. My mother later explained to me, saying, in reality, the sun is the one who constantly serves everyone, not the one who constantly calls oneself that. Here's the sun. Look at the sun, she told me. You see, it shines, it asks for nothing in return. We all receive warmth from it for free. It doesn't demand anything in return. I started thinking then that the method was actually incorrect. What is self-worth, really? In reality, a person cannot respect themselves on their own. A person cannot respect themselves on their own. We can only respect ourselves for something. For something. So if, let's say, I did a good deed, then a feeling arises in my heart. Well done, good person. Well done, that's right, keep it up, excellent. But that's me. I have a masculine feeling arising. A girl has a different feeling arise. You're such a good girl, well done. You're such a good and kind girl, well done. Where does this feeling come from? Some people think that I'm telling this to myself. No, it's the conscience speaking to the person. The supersoul, God's representative in the heart, speaks this way. The Lord tells us this. The Lord evaluates us, my dears, for our deeds. If you committed a bad deed, no matter how much you try to convince yourself otherwise, deep down in your heart you will still not respect yourself. Let's say a woman left her husband. She thinks, I did the right thing. There's a bunch of explanations like this and that. But there is no calmness in the heart. And no matter how much you explain it away, even if 50 years of explanations pass, your heart will still be restless until you honestly tell yourself, I did the wrong thing. But when you tell yourself this honestly, that's when your heart will become calm and you'll start treating yourself better. You see what self-worth is? This is our relationship with God. This is not an attitude toward oneself. It's impossible to convince yourself of anything about yourself. Some people say, I have a feeling of a burden in my heart. It means that the relationship with God is wrong. A person left something unfinished in life. Study where you didn't finish, search for it, complete it in your heart. Establish a relationship, receive from God, give, forgive, ask for forgiveness, wish happiness. What is self-worth in this relationship? What do you need to do? This is when a person feels that they are living correctly and they can then honestly tell a close person the truth. And this is what the meaning of love is all about. Love doesn't mean that we only act in accordance with a person's wishes. If we can care for a loved one selflessly, this is the first medal of love, the first facet of love. And the second facet of love is that I can tell the truth kindly and the person hears me. This means that mutual understanding has emerged between us. This energy of love has begun to move mutually. This means everything is already good in your family. This is the sign. You can tell the truth kindly, not angrily, but kindly. And the person hears it. That's it, you have a family. From this moment on, you can be sure that everything will be fine for you. Your family will not fall apart. No one will deceive you. That's how it is. Now you'll say, Dr. Torsunov, why did my family fall apart? People often ask me this question. The answer is very simple. When people live in degradation, their families always fall apart. If there is simply anger and resentment between you in life, you are simply offended at each other, you don't want to understand, if you are convinced that my spouse is to blame for my fate and I'm not to blame for anything, the other person is to blame. This is called a relationship in degradation. The other person is to blame for everything. And until they repent, we won't have happiness. A relationship in degradation means anger. Well, what is malice? I believe that the other person is to blame. I'm not guilty of anything. People in pure goodness always consider themselves guilty, always apologize first, even if they are not at fault. They do it simply out of love. It's an austerity to live this way. A person in degradation always considers the other person guilty. It's hopeless. There's no chance of saving the family. People in degradation always destroy their families. People in passion adapt. They artificially forgive and ask for forgiveness. They don't do the work in their hearts, they just play at having a good relationship. They play, a feeling of a burden accumulates in the heart. On the outside, everything is fine. There is no depth in the relationship, it doesn't exist. But they behave delicately, everything seems fine, they somehow adapt. They're afraid of losing each other, as it seems on the outside. They have children together, an apartment, they work together. Everything will fall apart, they don't want that, so they live together out of fear. There is no love. They're afraid to tell each other. This is called living in passion. Does the family stay together in this case? No. The time comes and suddenly a close person falls in love with someone, or I fall in love with someone. Then goodbye. That's it. Why? Because when something genuinely real appears, this artificial life is no longer needed. Now let's move on. If people have sincerity, if they build a deep relationship with each other, then how could they possibly betray one another? Could they possibly abandon each other? Could they possibly trade each other for someone else? It's simply impossible. I'm telling you for sure. Therefore, if you see that your family has fallen apart, don't be sad. The reason is your lack of development. When people develop to the level of pure goodness, nothing falls apart anymore. Because when there is conscience in life, nothing can fall apart. If your family fell apart, it means you were simply uneducated, you didn't have right development. That's all. Don't be sad, don't be upset. People ask me, Dr. Torsunov, my family is falling apart right now. What should I do? Right now, put up icons in your home. Start praying right now there in your home. Start developing yourself right now. A person in pure goodness is someone who believes not in success, not in oneself, but believes in the divine and in holiness. You see, a person in pure goodness draws strength from God and gives it to others. Change the atmosphere in your home right now. Where there are icons, there is conscience. Where there is no conscience, there will be infidelity. Where there is conscience, there will be no infidelity. Right now, change your living environment first. Let spiritual music constantly play in your home. Let icons hang there, cook with prayer, and so on. Change the atmosphere in your home. Conscience will be closer to your loved one, and it will be harder for them to leave. You see what I'm saying? People in pure goodness don't abandon each other. First of all, they build relationships slowly. They first try to understand what kind of person they are dealing with, where they are going in life. For them, it's not about getting a thrill from the person, but rather their direction in life that matters. People in passion simply fall in love and get married. The main thing is that the person is good, as they think, and people in degradation, they just stumble into family life. A woman got pregnant, or they became attached to each other. We live together. Well, what can we do? We'll continue living together. Therefore, all these separations are natural, my dears. They are natural. People in pure goodness don't have bitterness in relationships. Bitterness means immaturity, you see, people's lack of development. Why do people betray each other? Why? Because there is no conscience. That's the whole answer. But why did I live with him? We have children together. Everything was fine between us, Dr. Torsunov. We have a family. We lived together for 10 years. Well, why did he leave? Everything was fine with us. We communicated normally. We had common interests. We raised the kids. We worked and everything else. No, these are not common interests, my dears. Common interests lie deep in the heart. Have you ever had a deep conversation with each other about life? You don't know what's inside a person deep down. One just loves the children and seems to love you. The sex is normal. There's enough money. What else does a person need? But a person needs depth, you see. A person cannot live without depth. And when one leaves you, why does one leave? Because one thinks that there, finally, this depth has appeared. Because infatuation is always confused with love in a person's heart. A person thinks that they have finally received something real in life now. Something genuine appeared. But there was nothing real, and there isn't anything real, because they simply confused it all. They don't know what love is. Love means that 3 stages of a relationship are overcome between people. The first stage is when I accept a person in my heart with all their flaws, believing that it's good for me to live with this person, that it's beneficial for me to live with this person because they change me for the better. This is the kind of person I'm meant to be with. I need to live with this kind of person because it makes me a better person. God specifically gave me this person so that I could become better. That's great. Thank you, Lord, that I have such a person in my life who changes me for the better. The first stage is called acceptance. You come home feeling good and calm because you've accepted everything. There are no surprises. Everything is fine. Acceptance means that you don't just endure, you help the person, you care for them. And in this care, purity emerges. You see the soul and purity in a person. If you do something kind for a person, you see the good in them. If you do something bad, you see the bad. The more good you do, the more good you see and come to accept the person as a result. The good outweighs the bad. There is one good psychologist. He did something interesting. He says, but nothing is needed, Dr. Torsunov, you explain so much. Nothing is needed to preserve a family except for one thing. I say, which one? He says, look, you need to hang 2 sheets of paper on the wall for each spouse, husband and wife. On one sheet, honestly write down the shortcomings of your close person, and on the other, the good things. And then you need to start taking care of each other, do good deeds. And usually there are more shortcomings at first and less good things. As a result of good deeds, you cross out some flaw thinking, well, that's just how it is, I wrote it down, but actually it's not that important. We cross it out, and you realize you forgot to write something important, and you write it down. And at the moment when there are fewer shortcomings and more good qualities in your close person, from that moment love begins. Because you saw the person, you understood them. And why is there no love? And that's because we didn't understand the person. That's the whole problem. And we didn't understand because we didn't care of them. So the second stage of love is called respect. I see good things in the person. I feel they are a good person. They're great. I respect them. There are shortcomings, of course, but there's so much good in them that I didn't understand before, but now I do. And this understanding creates a different kind of relationship. That means that a deeper relationship begins. Faithfulness starts to awaken in the relationship. Something profound appears. There is also a third stage of love. When the flower of the family blossoms, the family becomes truly happy. Usually, after many years of living together, taking care and working on the relationship, faithfulness appears. Faithfulness or sincerity in the relationship. This means that you deeply feel the person, their deep relationship with God, with themselves. You feel like you're lucky to be living with this person. You are lucky. And the other person thinks exactly the same way. They have the same opinion. I was riding in a taxi once, and usually they play all kinds of music there. But that time there was a program dedicated to a certain composer who shared that the greatest wonder in his life was his wife. That person who was already around 80 years old, he says, the greatest, most amazing miracle in my life is my wife. This is the best person on earth. I am absolutely convinced. I have never met such people in my life. And he said so many kind words. If we analyze further and consider that when people meet, their combined family egoism increases many times over. This causes severe pain. People hurt each other in relationships. This is how family life gets started. When a person is alone, they don't torment anyone, and they don't need anything. When people come together, they suddenly need so much all at once, they start demanding so much from each other. This is how this system gets triggered. People's egoism increases many times over from enjoying each other. And as a result, there are scandals and quarrels later on. And you think, I act like a civilized person with others, don't fight with anyone, but here there's all the swearing and plates going flying. Where did all this come from? It's incomprehensible. I seem to be a good person. And all of this comes from having too many expectations in personal life. Strong expectations of each other create intense pain. We have expectations because we're waiting for happiness. We want happiness. Everyone wants happiness. Incorrect faith, incorrect attitude toward happiness causes suffering to a person. A person begins to suffer. There is one song. Somehow, as a result of Soviet-Indian friendship, very serious philosophical things began to penetrate into pop music. When I heard this song, I was amazed, because this song, in fact, has nothing at all to do with pop music. A great philosopher and spiritual teacher wrote it. He was instructing his wife on how to relate to him after he would pass away. He was about to pass away. He wrote this poem, and then later they composed music for it. Like a simple pop song for a movie. Although this song is not at all about relationships meeting and parting. This is a song about how to relate to someone who has passed away. He was explaining to his wife, you see, he already had this faithfulness. He and his wife had deep feelings for each other. And he explained to her that we will never part. Sometimes you will feel that I am near you. And he explained to her that sometimes you're just walking down the street and something suddenly brings thoughts of me to your mind. And he says, know that this is not a dream, this is real. Indeed, at that moment, contact between us is taking place. People don't part. And he told her that in reality there is no death in relationships. When people are faithful to each other, if this love has truly developed, then there is no death. This eternal law of love defeats death, he told her. You see, all of this was written in verse in Hindi. Then they translated it and made it into a song. You see, it turns out that very deep relationships do exist. But this is the result of hard work. Some people think Those people were probably lucky. They met and some kind of harmony arose between them. Probably it's due to a strong astrological compatibility. And then they just lived happily ever after, and that's it. And they had such purity in their relationship. Nothing of the sort. This is very hard work. Any people who work on their relationships know how to do it right, because if you don't know how to do it right, you won't be able to build your relationship. They know how to fill themselves with strength in order to forgive. Without strength, you won't forgive. Without strength, you won't accept. Without strength, you won't understand. This is what life means. Life means that you have the knowledge of how to live right. And if there is no knowledge, then life will not be normal. There will be only suffering. What questions do you have? Your question, please. It needs to be on topic.
I have a question. So it turns out that in a relationship, it's enough if just one person works on the relationship?
Yes.
And the second person doesn't have to, even if they don't know about all of this?
Yes, yes, yes.
I understand that you will be satisfied if you live in pure goodness and so on, but is there a way to make it so that your partner also...
You need to work on it for that to happen. Over time, God will reward you without a doubt. There is a certain sequence to it, but there is also something you won't accept from me right now. His changes will never satisfy you. Whatever changes occur in him as a result of your efforts will never be enough for you. You can only be satisfied if you take from God and not from him. Because there's one problem. Our desire to change a close person is actually a very selfish desire. In reality, we simply want our own happiness next to our close person, and that's why we want them to change. You know, people in pure goodness are the most cunning on earth. They know what happiness is better than others. And therefore they think, but I wish this person well. I want them to start working on themselves, praying, listening to lectures, eating properly. It will be better for them, after all. But first and foremost, it will be better for you. And therefore you actually want this. But this is a good desire. Not bad, but good.
And from the perspective of, well, let's say, you're changing for the better, overcoming your bad karma. But what about your partner in this case?
But you see, you don't know how life works. I'll explain it to you again. For the sake of higher love, you must remember that our loved ones are connected to us for life by an invisible thread. You should know that when you change, since you are connected to him by an invisible thread, he changes whether he wants to or not. Why? Because you are connected to him.
That means that there are such lucky people in life who don't have to do anything. I'm saying, it turns out there are such lucky people in life who don't have to do anything. Well, I'm reasoning from the point of view of egoism right now.
He's the lucky one and you're not, is that it?
For example, yes. I'm reasoning from the point of view of selfishness.
You see, she's bargaining with me. And that's how all people are. They constantly bargain. They say, Dr. Torsunov, but I can't live like this. My close person should also do something, right? You are a very honest person, a good one. That's why I'm now using your example to tell everyone about their own lives. So you think that he should still do something, right?
I would like that, of course.
This means that you're relying not on God, but on your partner, right?
Right now, yes.
This means that there is no chance to fix anything as long as you rely on Him and not on God. You lack self-sufficiency in life. Until a girl has self-sufficiency in life, she won't be able to attract a man. Men are only attracted to princesses. If a girl is self-sufficient, she's already doing well. She can allow someone to communicate with her. She is not needy but giving. Then she can get married. All girls who are needy, even if they get married, suffer afterwards. It's the same in family life. If you are a needy person, you will never be able to help anyone. It's impossible to help. Only a self-sufficient person can help. Become self-sufficient in your relationship with God. You have resentment in your heart toward your close one right now. This is not a feeling of pure goodness. This is a feeling of passion. You consider yourself a person of pure goodness, but the feelings in your heart toward Him are passionate because your goodness in life is merely superficial. You don't know what pure goodness really is. Pure goodness is when it's pure here, when the heart doesn't smell, when you purify it every day as much as needed, so that happiness can come into the heart. Happiness means that right now you can be happy in your heart. Right now. This means that you have paid off all your debts. If you hold a grudge against a close person, it means you owe them something. Forgive, ask for forgiveness, pray, cleanse your heart of this resentment, accept that this is the person meant for you. You don't yet know why. When you become a saint, you will find out. I have a sense of why you were given such a person in your life. I sense your past life. But you don't know, but you must accept from your elders that this is your person. This is the person you're meant to have in your life. Acceptance is impossible without God. Why are you suffering so much right now? Because you don't accept. You're having a hard time. You're thinking, well, how can this be? I'm so good, but He's not.
Well, why? I acknowledge all His positive qualities.
Huh?
I acknowledge all His positive qualities in full measure.
She's already started to acknowledge it, you see? Before that, you didn't mention His positive qualities.
No. In every relationship, there are ups and downs.
That means that you've calmed down now, right?
I understand everything, actually. I just wanted to clarify a few points from this perspective.
Thank you very much. Look, the thing is, the scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita say, evil will never overcome those who do good. If you have embarked on the right path, this path always brings only victory. And even a small advancement along this path saves one from great danger. I am directly quoting the scriptures to you right now. I'm not saying anything on my own behalf right now. You see? Don't be afraid. Know for certain that when you pass your test, when you pay for your past, He will immediately change. A person cannot behave badly towards someone who deserves better. It's impossible. Even if a bandit were to live next to you, he would never violate the rules of the relationship with you. He would display his banditry somewhere else, but never with you. Remember, everyone who treats us badly, all of this has its own weighty, serious reason that we don't yet see. The Vedas explain that a person does not have the right to simply see their past because they are not worthy. A person who feels the events of their life and already knows what they are being punished for is a worthy person. They receive this vision as a reward from the Lord. We still don't see anything yet. We don't know that we have a past. We don't know what the present is. Many people don't believe that when I pass away, I will continue living there. They think there will be nothing there, that someone else will be living. Well, that means that we don't know a lot of things, you see. We don't understand a lot. Study this world where it hurts you. So right now you're hurt in this relationship. This will be your lesson. Accept this person into your life through prayer. See that he is changing. You started working on yourself about 6 months ago. Am I right? You've only been seriously working on yourself for 6 months. Or maybe even less.
I think it's longer, but maybe you're right. I don't even know.
How long do you think? I could be wrong, right? How long have you been working on yourself?
Well, several years. A fairly long time.
And how long have you been praying? Do you pray?
I don't pray. I just internally have a dialogue, sort of, with the Creator, with the universal intelligence. I give thanks sort of every day. If that's what you mean, then yes.
I get it. I understand. Your practice has been yielding results for 6 months now. Over these 6 months, your husband has already changed. He has already changed because you started doing the right practice. He has already changed. I can tell you how. First, he became kinder to you. Second, he started listening to you. These changes have definitely already occurred, or not.
This happened much earlier. But now there are just some individual moments, of course.
Does this suit you?
Overall, yes. But I understand perfectly well that all relationships, they are like...
This doesn't satisfy you. That's what I said. All the changes in him will happen, but they won't satisfy you.
Thank you. Can I add something?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday, you simply said that if a man is joyful, he spreads that to his wife, and the wife returns this joy in response. Did I understand correctly?
Yes, and he doesn't feel joy, does he, the bastard?
You know everything. You see everything. I wanted to say, according to Ron Hubbard, if a child was raised in certain conditions, well, my husband grew up with a stepfather. And besides dissatisfaction from his stepfather and from his mother, whom he constantly bothered, he saw nothing. And can he now, when he's grown up, give joy? He always walks around dissatisfied. We have 3 children, and he always finds fault with everything. That means that yes, there are people who need to be, well, I'll say it bluntly, put in their place. I believe he's carrying the burden of his childhood into his entire adult life. Sometimes you put a little tension on him and he walks around content, then after some time he's dissatisfied again. I think I need to take even better care of him or have even more faith or both. So what's the way out here?
Both.
What should be done for him to be even more joyful?
The most important thing is to stop depending on him. You see, it's all about him. Why do you keep saying he all the time? Because you depend on his joy right now.
Well, let's just say I'm the one who provides for the whole family. Therefore, I am the leader as well. But I would like our children to see that we live in peace, harmony, and accord, to show them this example. I work on myself a lot.
You see, when you speak now, you're telling me, Dr. Torsunov, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. This means that there is no prayer in your life.
Well, for some time maybe, I stepped away, but I generally observe the fast. I pray.
Understand this. When you have prayer in your life, you will accept your fate. Because this person who lives next to you is very much like you.
Okay.
He is just like you. That's why you love each other so much.
I agree.
So you see, a person must become self-sufficient. It's impossible to help a loved one until you become self-sufficient. You asked me many questions during your monologue. I can answer these questions for you. Your loved one can be joyful, even despite the fact that his fate in this regard is difficult. He does experience joy in life. It's just not the kind of joy you would like to see before you. Sometimes fate is turned upside down a little. Sometimes the sun has a greater influence on the woman while the moon influences the man. This reversal in the relationship also has its own deep meaning. This means that the karma, the moral karma of the family, is more difficult than everyone else's. Traditionally, a man should be cheerful. A woman should be more contemplative and calm by nature. But sometimes it happens that the man is contemplative and calm, while the woman is cheerful. This means that they owe even more to fate than everyone else. That means that you need to work harder on yourself. The moment you become calm and contemplative, he will start gaining strength as a man and become cheerful. Well, that means that this reversal will inevitably occur in your life as well. Understand that you complement each other in this way too. But also understand this: the path to happiness goes through 3 stages. The first stage, I was able to understand that it's not that he is bad and I am good. I was able to understand that he was simply given to me by fate. I don't consider him bad. And the difficulties are between us. The next stage of overcoming one's fate, I understood that the difficulties are actually all inside me. And everything that surrounds me is my fate, my volume of work. And the next stage, having understood this, I began to work with my heart in prayer in such a way that this volume of work decreases for me. And in my heart, despite the fact that I have a husband who has so many problems, I have children who also have problems, I have a mother who torments me. There are so many problems, but all of this is my fate, which I accept, meaning I like it. And from this moment, when a person begins to accept all of this, happiness arrives. A person begins to be satisfied with their life, they become happy. Happiness means acceptance of one's fate. And to accept, one needs to have the strength for it. This strength comes from faith and from God. Develop your connection with God, and you will accept everything in your life. So, for example, how should I treat you now? As a good listener of my lectures or a bad one? You were just complaining about your husband. It was so unpleasant for me to hear this. Do you think I should accept you or not in order to be happy? Or maybe I don't deserve to sit on this platform? Maybe I'm just a hypocrite? You see, my life is no different from yours. I must accept you in the same way that you must accept your husband. I must now accept everything and say, I am very grateful to my fate for seeing you here. It doesn't matter what you said. Life is like that. We can do foolish things, it's normal. We must accept each other as we are, and then everything will be fine, then we will be happy. Have we agreed on how you will treat your husband from now on?
What is the right way to take care?
It's impossible to care without prayer. So you take care of him and more resentment builds up inside you. That's how you take care of him. What's the point? You see, the result of your care is simply that you're just offended by him, and that's all. Why? Because of the incorrect thinking. You need to expect happiness from God, not from your husband. And simply give your husband what he deserves. And when you give to him in this way, he will become grateful. This gratitude will give you the opportunity to give him advice. Right now you can't give him advice, but your friend can. This is the difference between you, because through her care for him and the right attitude, she has already gained this ability. She has already reached the first stage of love in a relationship, which is called acceptance. But you don't have this first stage yet. This means that your personal life is in a very dangerous situation. Your family could fall apart at any moment. Therefore, connect yourself with God now. This is the most important thing you need. You need to learn to digest your fate. Then the opportunity will arise to care selflessly rather than caring for loved ones out of necessity. And then you will become a self-sufficient person. He will feel gratitude for your care will start producing different results, and then he will begin to change. He is also a very good person. I can sense him just as I can sense you right now. I see your husband. He is a very attentive person, unlike you. He is attentive to you, very attentive to you. He has a conscience. The fact that he doesn't finish things, doesn't work, he deeply suffers from this in his heart. You see, he is suffering because of it, but for now, he cannot find the strength within himself to somehow get settled, to make it so that he would be a worthy husband for you. He's worried about this, you see? Now, if you had started telling me all this about him in this way, then it would have been a completely different matter. But this is only possible when you have enough strength of heart for it, you see? But this strength comes from God, that's all. Try to understand this. And then you will have a clear and correct understanding of your husband. He cares about you personally very much. There aren't many men who treat women like that, are there? Do you agree? Why didn't you tell me about this then, if you agree? Your question, sir.
Me, yes?
Yes.
Hello. I have a question. You're talking about invisible threads, right?
Bring the microphone closer. I can't hear you completely.
You were talking about the threads between people. Invisible threads.
Yes.
So, let's say a person stumbled, made many mistakes, and there was an exchange of good karma and bad karma with many people.
Yes, men often make mistakes. Men have a very dynamic psyche in terms of events and actions. Men often make mistakes in life, especially in their personal lives.
To move forward, how can one get rid of this attachment?
Well, so you left your wife and now you want to get rid of the attachment, right?
No, there were relationships with different people, and as a result,
you want to cleanse yourself? Well, that means you've cheated around and now you want to cleanse yourself from this, right? That's okay. Nothing terrible.
you're talking about invisible threads. Can they be broken somehow?
Thank you very much for this question. Good question. No, you can't remove the invisible thread. If we could see it, we would have cut all those threads by now and everything would be fine. Life would become wonderful. Impossible. But there is a way out. I'll explain it to you now. The solution is not to think about cutting this thread. You don't need to think about that. Then everything will be even worse. You need to cleanse it. When you have a pure, bright memory of a person with whom you lived and built a close relationship, when pure, bright memory of them remains, a pure feeling, then God puts an end to your life together, and you have the opportunity to move forward with your life. But if you cleanse the bright memory, achieve it in your relationship with someone, you won't want to build superficial relationships anymore. You will understand how much work needs to be done to correct all these mistakes. Therefore, you will become serious and will build serious relationships then. You won't want to make any more mistakes. You see? When a person achieves a pure, bright memory, well, let's say, women often have this question. My husband left me. He abandoned me with the children. When a man leaves, he immediately finds himself a good, pleasant wife. Women think, but where is the justice? Dr. Torsunov says in his lectures that he's such a scoundrel he'll answer for this. But he doesn't answer for it. Raise your hand if you have this kind of situation. Well, you're probably shy, but that's okay. Someone has this situation. So know that first of all, when a man very quickly gets someone as a gift for himself, it's actually the opposite. He falls deeply in love with this girl, and everything goes according to plan. When his infatuation reaches its peak, she will cruelly leave him, and you will be satisfied. You'll think, well, finally it happened. Such a scoundrel. But in general, it's better not to play these cruel games. The Lord will deal with him himself. Whether he punishes him or not, you simply need to start praying with the goal of remembering all the good things that were between you and forgetting all the grievances. If you have a pure, bright memory of this person and understand that he left you, not because he is bad, but because you lived with him incorrectly. There was no conscience in your life together. I repeat once again, if there is conscience between people, no one can abandon anyone. It's impossible to leave. Why? How can I explain this? When people feel each other very closely, they are close friends, their relationship is so deep that just sex, some kind of infatuation, all of this is so superficial, so shallow, compared to the depth of relationships that develops between people who cultivate a truly right way of life, who know the scriptures, who know how to live correctly, who are educated in moral matters. Well, if they left each other, it means they were uneducated, that's all. That means they're uneducated, so blame that. When you pray, when you will be praying, think about this. Don't think that he's such an educated scoundrel who left me. Don't think that way. He simply doesn't know how to do it right. That's all. He simply didn't know. If you think this way and pray to God, you will develop a pure, bright memory of him. You will remember all the good things that were between you. And at that moment, when you do this, God will put an end to the relationship. When you have a pure feeling toward the person, the relationship will remain. The thread will remain, the connection will remain for life, but it won't bother you. Look, the love in the soul has not completely faded, but let it no longer trouble you or sadden you in any way. That means that the person set themselves up correctly. Remember the poem Eugene Onegin? She married a good man, a decent one, and she tells him that everything is fine, everything is good. I have a pure, bright memory of you. Everything is fine. You shouldn't worry about this. Were you bored today? Is everything okay? Did you get answers to your questions? Today our topic was about family relationships. Yesterday's topic was about one's attitude toward oneself. I spoke mainly about the essential principles of how family life is built. If you transform these essential principles, then everything else that is unclear will become clear. A family doesn't fall apart if a person lives right. If life flows incorrectly, then the family falls apart. Our close people are simply puppets in the hands of our fate, that's all. They will act according to how we live. Their conscience will act according to how we live together with them. Let me tell you something else. Or are you all tired of listening already? No, is it okay? Good. I want to tell you a little more about self-esteem. Here's how it works. People often don't understand how to properly relate to themselves. Many people ask me, Dr. Torsunov, something inside me doesn't feel right in my heart, something bothers me, there's some kind of anxiety and so on. This is all an incorrect attitude toward oneself. People often cannot understand their own shortcomings. To understand your shortcomings, to understand what specifically I am guilty of in this life, why this life is punishing me, for this you need an elder. Learn humility. When a person even simply accepts an elder from an icon, begins to worship the icon, begins to worship the scriptures, to bow to someone in life, to consider someone as an elder, the veil of seeing yourself as God, the veil of thinking that everything is fine with me, that I'm right, falls from your eyes. Know that this veil exists in all of us, in every person. The Vedas explain how a person's development progresses. At first, a person considers themselves in their heart to be very right, and everyone else to be very wrong. This is an ignorant person. Notice, all ignorant people say, I'm totally fine, what are you telling me? Look at yourself. Well, that means that people in degradation don't think at all that they have any flaws. Next, a person in passion believes that everyone has flaws. They think I have them too, but not as many. People in pure goodness believe that they have many flaws, but not too many. That means that there are many flaws, but they think I'm still better than those people in degradation. People in pure goodness are proud of themselves, believe that they're developing correctly, that people around them live worse, and they constantly judge them in their hearts. Now let's move on. Spiritually developed people see themselves more deeply from within, stop judging others, don't consider anyone bad at all. They stop considering people bad. Spiritually developed people see a great many flaws within themselves, and they made such a conclusion for themselves in life. I don't want to see flaws in others, I simply don't want to, because it never helps in life. Now, a person who is highly spiritually developed, a holy person, such a person sees purity in people first and foremost and rejoices in it infinitely. Therefore, their eyes shine with love. Have you noticed that when you see an exalted person, they look at you and their eyes shine with love for you immediately, as soon as they see you, as if they're seeing you for the first time and have fallen in love with you? This is how a spiritually developed, holy person looks at you. Their eyes shine with love. They like you, and at the same time they feel very humble about themselves, modest in relation to themselves. When you praise them, they say, "Unfortunately, I cannot agree with you." You see? It's amazing that when a person becomes absolutely developed, they relate to themselves in an absolutely humble and critical way at the same time. And at the same time, they don't consider themselves humiliated. They're not humiliated by this, they do not humiliate themselves, but simply genuinely relate to themselves this way. And so humility allows one to have a sober attitude toward oneself. Know that humility is the most difficult quality to develop. And know, if we speak on an esoteric level, what humility is. The more humble a person becomes, the smaller one feels, smaller, smaller, smaller. And at some point, one begins to feel oneself as an eternal, invincible, imperishable, indestructible soul. It turns out that a person who feels very small actually becomes more and more powerful. A person's power always means their ability to bring their vision of themselves closer to their true self. That means that closer to the soul. And when a person sees themselves as a soul, they become absolutely humble and absolutely powerful. No one can defeat such a person because such a person is connected to God by a very strong thread. And no matter how much strength they need for victory, God will always give it to them. The next quality, which increases self-esteem, just like humility does, makes a person very dignified. A humble person is very dignified, and does not feel humiliated. Feeling humiliated is pride. The next quality is firmness of spirit. What is willpower? Literally, this means the ability to rely on the power of the elder. This is called firmness of spirit. When a person has such confidence through the memory of an elder or through the voice of an elder, then it is impossible to defeat them. Victory over them is possible only when they have lost this memory. All great commanders, all great warriors had within themselves, in their hearts, this reliance on their elders. They had a connection with someone who gave them victory. A person cannot have such strength to win on their own. The soul, by its very nature, is dependent. We cannot survive without air, food, or water. We didn't give birth to ourselves, and we don't take ourselves out of this world. You see, people can be firm, can have firmness of spirit. If they rely on something, they must constantly receive a source of energy into their heart. If we repeat right now, "I wish everyone happiness," we feel strength here. You know, this strength can be cultivated to such a degree that no one will be able to break you at all. Not a single person will be able to even break you, let alone destroy you. This resilience arises as a result of faith in holiness. Feel this faith. You are invincible. Self-criticism is not self-flagellation. Self-criticism is simply an assessment of the volume of work. So what is self-criticism? Let's say you committed some bad deed. How should you treat yourself? Don't beat yourself up. This is a waste of time. And this is also called laziness of the soul. Did you do something wrong? Go and make amends. That is what self-criticism is. Assess how much work there is, how many foolish things you've done. Like when a man stands up and says, "I've made many mistakes." You don't need to put on such a miserable, repentant face. I simply made a lot of mistakes and I will fix all of this. This is called proper self-criticism. But people make a show of it. Oh, I'm so miserable, so bad. One student approached his mentor and said, I'm so fallen, I'm the most fallen. He looks at him and says, you're not the most fallen, just fallen, that's all. Go and make amends. When one says, I'm the most, it means pride. That means that you shouldn't take your shortcomings too emotionally. Oh, I left my husband. Dr. Torsunov, I left my husband. Why are you so worried about it? There is one reason: you don't want to work with your heart. If you want to, work on it. Why are you so upset that you left your husband? Well, you left and that's that. You didn't know that you shouldn't leave. Well, now work on it, make amends. Why worry about it? If you make amends, lightness will appear in your heart, and God will give you another person. Nothing is ever lost in life. Today, one person told me, I encountered this knowledge too late. What does one mean by too late? Maybe it's the opposite. Too early? A person doesn't die. When a person receives spiritual knowledge, it is called aparushai in Sanskrit. Do you know how the word aparushai is translated? It means indestructible. If you encountered spiritual knowledge at 80 years old, it means that in a couple of years you will be 1 year old and you will have this knowledge in the body of a small child. So did you encounter it too late, or on the contrary, too early? Think about it. There is no death in this world. God gave you spiritual knowledge for your next life. Why do you think it's bad? This is good. Therefore, self-criticism is simply an assessment of the volume of work you need to do, and that's all. And then work with your soul. How can you make relationships sincere? Some people say, why is there no sincerity in my relationship? Today, one girl came up to me and said, there's something missing. There's no sincerity in my relationship. For sincerity to exist in relationships, you need to stop considering yourself the cause of actions taken. So some events happen in life that are neither good nor bad. You don't need to consider yourself the cause. Let's say I did some good deed. Oh, I'm so cool. That's it, the closeness of the relationship ends. If you consider yourself too cool, you won't have a close relationship with anyone. This is impossible. Or the opposite. Oh, I'm to blame for what happened. Well, okay, you're guilty. Why think about it? Go and make amends. But if a person starts to demean themselves, then again, there will be no close relationship. Close relationships are possible if a person stops thinking too much about themselves. Because elevating yourself and putting yourself down both mean thinking about yourself. When you stop thinking about yourself, close relationships appear. What does close mean? Compassion. This means you experience together with another person their fate, their life. What is kindness? Kindness means that you feel a person's life and want to help them. And to feel another person's life, you need to stop feeling your own. You need to stop thinking too much about yourself. Oh, I feel so bad. Oh, I feel so good. Think about someone else. And then you will be able to build close relationships with people. Close relationships mean distant from oneself, and close to whom? To others. Got it? If all day long one complains, oh, my life is so hard, there will be no close relationships. When a person comes up to me and says, Dr. Torsunov, my life is so hard, it's so difficult, it's just so bad. You know what questions I ask if this is a girl? I say, can you cook? She says, no. Do you have any friends? She says, no. Do you build a close relationship with your parents? No. Do you go outside to clean the lawns? No. That's right. So why do you feel bad then? Because you think about yourself too much your whole life. That's all. That's why you feel bad. Forget about yourself, start helping your friends, parents, dogs, birds, everyone around you. And be happy. It's self-discipline. Some people say, Dr. Torsunov, I feel constant worry. I'm worried about something. Why do people worry? Because they don't trust themselves, because they don't believe they will actually do it right. Anxiety means a lack of trust in oneself. If you trust yourself, why worry? Everything will be done, right? If a person is worried, it means they are afraid that something won't happen. Self-discipline frees a person from anxiety. A person does everything correctly, quickly, precisely, and on time. There are no worries, everything is fine. And if you want to respect yourself, some people say, Dr. Torsunov, but you need to respect yourself. How can one live without self-respect? But you can respect yourself for only one thing. If you want to see the good in others, at the moment when you see the good in others, at that moment you respect yourself. When a person sees something good in another person, their heart immediately feels good and they begin to respect themselves. A dignified person is someone who is capable of seeing the good in others. So what does a dignified person look like? They speak delicately with everyone, right? They behave very kindly, never putting another person in a bad light. Isn't that right? That's a dignified person. A dignified person doesn't present themselves in a good light while presenting others in a bad light. This is a dignified person. Truthfulness means that you first and foremost see the faults in yourself. My teacher, when he gave lectures, spoke a great deal. I approached him and said, "Thank you. Everything was about me. You really dissected me completely." He looked at me and said, "Actually, I was talking about myself the whole time, to be honest. If you," he says, "found it in yourself, that's fine too. But I was talking about my own shortcomings." Truthfulness is impossible without the right attitude toward oneself. If a person doesn't see their own flaws, then they won't be able to tell anyone the truth. It's impossible. How can one see oneself in a true light? Some people think that they're living in some kind of fog, don't understand anything about how life works. If you don't understand where to work, what to do, how to live, what to do in life, start helping other people. You'll understand everything about yourself right away. Everything will be revealed, everything will become clear. These are small ideas for reflection so that there will be food for thought after the lecture.